Hey everybody, welcome to Connecting Cannabis, sponsored by Wrazel. I'm your host, Brian Holler. Today we have with us President of WeCann, Meilad Rafiei. How are you, Meilad?
Good. I'm cooped up. Good.
Yeah, Meilad is the president of WeCann. For the people who might not be aware, what is WeCann? What does WeCann do?
WeCann is a consulting firm that project manages the entitlement process. We also have a real estate division that helps us procure properties and find properties that will qualify for different licensing within the cannabis industry. We also have a public advocacy division that allows us to reach out to cities and advocate on behalf of our clientele to either potentially get regulation going in a city or municipality where it's not existing, or just kind of help them put their best foot forward in a municipality that is open.
Actually, that brings up a real interesting question, at least for me right away, is so have how the last few weeks, have they stalled up any of these processes anywhere? I suspect that that's probably the case.
Yeah, I mean, we're pretty dependent on city council meetings, on planning commission meetings to push these licenses forward, push regulation forward. And there have been multiple different scenarios currently right here in SoCal, in different municipalities that have either gotten extended in terms of applications that need to be submitted, which actually isn't a bad thing. It's probably a good thing. Hopefully we'll have a little bit more time to button up their applications. And then there's other ones where, it was supposed to be presented to council, and it wasn't, because the council has now been pushed back. Only essential items are being looked at. Items like that happen in municipalities throughout the state. 2020, there was a good amount of cities and municipalities that were in an optimistic plan, were originally planning on coming out public in 2019, and then it just rolled over into this year.
And now,
we're here.
And now we're rolling into 2021, maybe. Yeah, so I hear you there. Do you actually, have you heard anything about some of those entities like city councils or some of those other governmental kind of organizations leaning on like virtual meetings or anything like that moving forward? Have you any about
that? Our direct experiences so far haven't had any virtual meetings. I mean, they've been a little bit more responsive on emails. Actually, a lot more responsive on emails because they just have less to do because no one's coming into the city hall or their planning desk. So, but no virtual yet. I mean, I was thinking that if this goes any longer, I mean, there are not just the cannabis industry, but I mean, there's so many sets of plans and construction documents and just other administrative documents that are waiting to be reviewed, and it's just holding up businesses from being operational, and at the end of the day costing business owners a lot more money than they initially anticipated to do whatever they were planning to do with their business that required them to go through these steps.
I hear that, and I'm getting a lot of that too in terms of just understanding that business owners are, I mean, I guess traditionally sort of frustrated with how slow those processes can go in the first place. Right. Now you throw something like this into the mix and difficult. How are you advising your clients to adjust to that?
Do as much as they can during this time, so they're not just sitting idle, at least on the back end. Get as much work we can get done. If they're working with a group like us, for instance, there's no reason to slow down any work that's being done on a state level in terms of licensing. It's pretty black and white in terms of what needs to be done. Just continue pushing forward, get all that stuff done. And so at least if you're maybe still waiting on a local municipality to give you the approval to submit to the state, still get everything done. And, when the local municipality opens up and you get that, you'll be able to do that, adjustment in 1 day or 2 days. You'll be able to then submit your state information.
Yeah, I guess that does kind of hone in on, where there's, trying to make lemons out of lemonade or whatever cliche that you want applies. But it is that time to, hunker down. All those things that are tedious and take you a long time, but are so imperative for your business. What better time to kind of dive deep into them and get them done.
Yeah, and honestly, and that's just one side of it. That's the entitlement side of it. From the real estate side, I mean, it kind of depends on what type of investor you are, but in general, what I'm advising is to not slow down any deals that you're negotiating. In a perfect world, you're still negotiating with whatever building you want to go after. You're about to start negotiating. I think they're in a little bit more of an advantageous position because they could negotiate terms with a landlord that's a little bit contingent, because the landlords are going to have to be more understanding that there's just a lot of question marks out there. So they can negotiate the terms they want, and ideally secure the property they want, and potentially even negotiate better terms, because just like everybody else, these landlords are probably not the best financial position, and are probably a little bit more eager to sign up a deal with somebody, let's just say at $250 a square foot for rent versus waiting out for someone to come in at $3 a square foot.
Especially considering how long that could take. Yes.
Yeah, and so. And especially when it comes to cannabis deals, there's sometimes hard money deposits that are given just to secure property, so you have the ability to apply. And that could be free money to landlords right now versus waiting and seeing what happens, and there could be no money that comes in.
That's a great point. I mean, if you do have that kind of income available to you, and you are kind of looking at things, and you've been kind of maybe biding your time a little bit, this might be that time to act. It's a fair point.
Work for both sides, where the tenant's getting favorable terms compared to what they would get in 6 months or maybe 2 months ago before this happened.
Yep.
And the landlord is getting something secure that it helps them out in those circumstances, and still can get them. Probably it's better off for the landlord anyways, because you should give more favorable terms to your tenant who you're planning on signing a minimum of a 5-year to 10-year lease with. You want to be there that whole 5 years. You want to be there that whole 10 years. You don't want to have to deal with the not so fun part of being a landlord and finding new tenants and evicting and doing all that.
Yeah, and certainly, maybe that big ticket money person you were waiting on, who knows what's going on with them and their businesses as well. So, very good points, Meilad, for sure. So real estate kind of, heading this is kind of a time to strike while the iron is hot if you can, obviously. And then on the other end, you want to prepare yourself as a business owner for kind of slowdowns here, but take advantage of it by putting your resources elsewhere. That's kind of what I'm hearing here.
Yeah. Be as efficient as you can be right now. I mean, your model should normally be based around efficiency. Most business operators are, but just keep that in mind.
Absolutely. So, how are you doing? How's WeCann? How's the team?
We're doing good. We're following that same model in terms of pushing the deals that can move forward in the municipalities where negotiations are still happening, and just trying to keep our ear to the ground and continue to talk to our resources within those municipalities on when we can circle back for some sort of update on if there's going to be any changes or any progress, and just keeping busy on the state work. Again, our client, advising them exactly what I just said, and trying to push forward with as much as we can to get their state applications and either submitted and, put that state's foot to the fire in terms of processing them, and or just having them ready to rock. So whatever approvals we're waiting for on the city level or county level, we get and then resubmit.
So you're taking your own advice, as you should, which is good. Hunkering down, getting yourselves ready for everything too. How's everybody handling kind of this shift for like working from home, or was that even a real significant shift for you guys? Within the first year and a half of the business, it wouldn't have been a shift at all, because we were primarily working from home. But we have been working in the office, I would say, a little bit more religiously in the past year, probably 3 to 4 days a week. We have more activity. We have a lot more deals going on. We have more real estate agents that we need to communicate with. So, it's kind of been a bummer in that we were kind of getting in a nice little swing of being consistently communicating with each other and working with each other. But at the same time, not too much of a slowdown, because on average, everybody was still working from home at least 1 day a week, if not 2 days a week. And a lot of what we can do is at home, and just limiting the face-to-face interactions like we are right now. Yeah, I mean, it's, we at Wrazel could say the same thing pretty much. Do I miss seeing my colleagues at the office and having that great kind of studio and event space? Well, sure. but we were doing a lot of things virtually like you were, and then a lot of our business is helping clients and serving customers. So, a lot of that you can do this way or with calls or, via the internet, email, whatever you need. So, and certainly our website alone is a platform to use, and yours is very informative as well. So, I think that's maybe some place where we'll see. What do you think? Do you think you'll see a lot of business owners kind of lean more into things like content creation and, really like maximizing your digital presence, et cetera?
I think so. I think you'll see shifts on that scale, to putting a little bit more emphasis on it, just because you're going to see more of a permanent shift to people working from home a little bit more. And I think just a cultural shift worldwide of humans just really thinking a little bit further about disease and the spread of it. And I think, for people like myself who've lived in this fast-paced Southern California environment, and being entrepreneurs, always looking for extra minutes in the day.
Sure.
Also, change in culture, shift of appreciating what you have right here in your own house and within your own family, and maybe a cultural shift even there of wanting to be around family more and wanting to be around this mortgage or the rent or whatever it is that you're paying for it, of enjoying it a little bit more than always looking for the next best thing outside your house. So I think that might happen too. I think you see that a lot more globally. You see that in different parts of the country that aren't as populated. So I think those will attribute to companies like Zoom doing very well.
Right. Yeah.
Just those type of platforms marketing to entrepreneurs to continue that efficiency, I guess.
Yeah, I would agree. I love all those takes that you just had. I mean, ultimately, this has forced everybody to kind of reevaluate, rejigger, look at how you're living your life and how you're organizing yourself. And, I think hopefully we come out of this. I mean, obviously we should come out of this better, more informed, more, it'll be different, I think, but it'll be hopefully in a good way, in the most parts. That's a very common, I'm sure you've had many conversations with people over the last few weeks, and that's certainly something that's echoed, whether that's personal connections, professional, whatever. Everybody's kind of talking about just, hey, let's make sure we learn the lessons from this.
Yeah.
Say hi to your daughter for me.
Oh, she's going to say hi. Yeah, we're just talking about.
That's right. There you go. Perfect timing on her part. On that note, let you get back to your daughter. Meilad, thank you so much for being with me. Let's make sure that everybody knows where they can find you out there.
Yep, absolutely. Our website is www.wecann.biz. That's WECANNBIZ. And you can find us on Instagram too, and Facebook as well, and Twitter. So yeah, take a look. We try to post a good amount of content and keep everybody informed about what's going on with regulations and real estate opportunities and business license sales opportunities. So please take a look at our website while you're sitting at home and trying to figure out something to do.
There you go. And actually go to their IG profile. It's pretty good. I'll give them a plug because they're my friends. But ultimately, I love what you guys are doing with kind of those your new like tiles and stuff like that, showing off images or showing off statistics and things like that. I just think it's cool to see people adjusting to this well and really leaning into what they do and in the creative ways they choose to display or elaborate on it. So thank you for that, Meilad, and thank you for joining me today. Much appreciated.
Thank you guys for your time. You guys are doing amazing things there.
Thank you, sir. We'll talk to you soon.